The night sky above Puerto Rico was clear, stars scattered like diamonds on black velvet. Dr. Allison Meyer leaned back in her chair, rubbing tired eyes as she monitored the incoming data at the Arecibo Observatory. She reached for her coffee. Cold now, but she drank it anyway. Another late shift, another night of listening to the cosmos. She almost missed it. A small spike on the readings, barely different from the usual cosmic background noise. But something about the pattern caught her attention. "Frank," she called out, not taking her eyes off the screen. "Come look at this." Dr. Frank Garrett rolled his chair across the room, squinting at the display. "What am I looking at, Allison?" "This pattern. It's repeating." Her finger traced the waveform. Every 47 seconds. Exactly the same. Frank adjusted his glasses. "Natural phenomena don't repeat with that precision." "No," Allison said, feeling her heart rate quicken. "They don't." For the next 3 hours, they analyzed the signal, confirming it wasn't equipment malfunction or terrestrial interference. By dawn, they had called the director and begun the verification protocol, sending the data to observatories across the globe. Within 48 hours, confirmation came from observatories in Chile, South Africa, and Australia. The signal was real, a broadcast from a point 64 light-years away. The mathematical sequence embedded in the transmission was undeniable proof of intelligent origin. The news broke worldwide. Humanity had received its first confirmed message from an alien civilization. People celebrated in the streets, religious leaders held special services, and governments issued statements calling for calm and unity. In the midst of global excitement, Allison and Frank continued their analysis. While others focused on the primary signal's mathematical patterns, they noticed something hidden in the secondary frequencies. "It's like they embedded data packets within the carrier wave," Frank said, coding a new algorithm to extract the information. As images began to form on their screen, the excitement in the lab faded into uneasy silence. "What are we looking at?" whispered Allison. The images showed destruction on a planetary scale. Cities in flames, strange ships hanging in a darkened sky, beings that looked nothing like humans fleeing across barren landscapes. "It's not a greeting," Frank said. "It's a warning." For 2 weeks, they worked without rest, extracting more data from the signal. Language patterns emerged, symbols they could begin to decipher with the help of linguists and cryptographers called in from around the world. On a rainy Tuesday afternoon, the team gathered as the final translation was presented. The room fell silent as people read the words on the screen. "We were the Arcadians. By the time you receive this, our civilization will be extinct. They came without warning. They destroyed our world when we refused to surrender. They call themselves the Valkyrie. They seek resources, not coexistence. They have taken 12 worlds before ours. Earth is in their path. They are coming. They destroyed us. They will destroy you. Prepare." Attached to the message were technical specifications, weapon designs, shield frequencies, ship schematics. "The Arcadians knew they were doomed," Allison said quietly. "They spent their final days sending us everything they knew about their killers." The celebration of first contact gave way to fear. In emergency sessions, the United Nations formed the Earth Defense Council. Military leaders pored over the Arcadian data, looking for advantages against a threat they could barely comprehend. 6 months passed. Humanity prepared as best it could, converting industries to military production, building shelters, stockpiling resources. Most people hoped the warning was wrong, or that the Valkyrie would bypass Earth entirely. Those hopes ended when orbital monitoring stations detected multiple objects entering the solar system at impossible speeds. The Valkyrie had arrived. Humanity was about to face its greatest test. Major Howard Dunham stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, the largest spacecraft humanity had ever built. 6 months ago, it had been under construction as an international space station. Now it was Earth's first warship, hastily retrofitted with weapons based on the Arcadian designs. "Status report," he said, his voice steady despite the weight of his mission. He was to lead humanity's first diplomatic team to make contact with the Valkyrie fleet now approaching Mars. "All systems nominal, sir," replied Lieutenant Samantha Ellis from the pilot station. "ETA to intercept point is 40 minutes. Dunham nodded, studying the tactical display. The alien fleet consisted of 12 massive ships and dozens of smaller vessels. The Defender, despite being humanity's pride, looked like a toy in comparison. "Let's hope they're willing to talk," said Dr. Garrett, who had joined the mission as a scientific advisor. His work decoding the Arcadian warning had made him the closest thing Earth had to an expert on the Valkyrie. The comm system crackled to life. "Major, we're receiving a transmission." Sir, it's broadcasting on all frequencies, not just to us." On Earth, the signal appeared simultaneously on televisions, phones, computers, any connected device. The image showed a being with gray-blue skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Its mouth was wide and lipless, revealing rows of small, sharp teeth. "People of Earth," it spoke in perfect English, the words slightly out of sync with its mouth movements. "I am Supreme Harvester Czech of the Valkyrie Dominion. Your world has been designated Resource Planet 13 in our expansion path. Surrender your planet and accept reassignment as labor units, and your species will survive. Resist, and you will be eliminated. You have 1 lunar cycle to decide." The transmission paused, then the being leaned closer to the screen. "To demonstrate our resolve." The view shifted to show Phobos, one of Mars' moons. A beam of intense green light struck it from one of the Valkyrie ships. The moon shuddered, cracked, and then disintegrated into dust. "This is but a fraction of our power," Kit continued. "Choose wisely." The transmission ended, leaving the world in stunned silence. Aboard the Defender, Dunham made his decision. "We continue our approach. We need to try diplomacy." As they neared the intercept point, 3 smaller Valkyrie vessels broke formation and headed toward them. "They're scanning us," Ellis reported, her hands flying over the controls. "Weapons are hot." "Sir, they're targeting us." "Open communication channels," Dunham ordered. "All frequencies. This is Major Howard Dunham of Earth. We come in peace to discuss." The first shot cut through the Defender like it was paper. Alarms blared as compartments began to decompress. "Evasive maneuvers," Dunham shouted over the chaos. Ellis fought the controls, but the Defender wasn't built for combat agility. A second hit took out their engines. "Get to the escape pods," Dunham ordered as fires broke out across the bridge. He helped Dr. Garrett up from where he had fallen. Ellis hesitated. "Sir." "That's an order, Lieutenant. Someone needs to report back." As Ellis raced for the escape pod, she looked back to see Dunham and Garrett returning to the comm system, still trying to establish contact even as the ship broke apart around them. The escape pod jettisoned moments before the Defender exploded. As it tumbled toward Earth, Ellis watched through tears as the Valkyrie ships returned to their fleet, the destruction of humanity's first diplomatic mission seemingly beneath their notice. On Earth, world leaders gathered in emergency session. The Valkyrie ultimatum left little room for negotiation. Some argued for immediate surrender to save lives. Others insisted resistance was the only option, regardless of the cost. As debates raged, the Valkyrie fleet moved closer, taking position in Earth orbit. The countdown to humanity's deadline had begun. The United Nations building in New York was surrounded by protesters. Some carried signs begging for peace, others demanded resistance. Inside, world leaders argued as the clock ticked down on the Valkyrie ultimatum. "We cannot surrender," said the president of Brazil, pounding his fist on the table. "Look what happened to the Arcadians. The Valkyrie will enslave or kill us all anyway. And what is your alternative?" asked the Chinese premier. "You saw what they did to Phobos." To the Defender, "We have nothing that can match their weapons." Lieutenant Ellis sat in the back of the room. She had not slept since her return to Earth, the images of the Defender's destruction replaying in her mind. Dr. Allison Meyer sat beside her, reviewing data on a tablet. "The floor recognizes Dr. Allison Meyer," announced the Secretary General. The room quieted as Allison walked to the podium. She connected her tablet to the display system. "We've completed our analysis of the original Arcadian broadcast," she said. "There was more data than we initially understood. The Arcadians weren't just warning us. They were trying to help us fight." The screen showed technical diagrams of Valkyrie ships, highlighting specific areas. The Arcadians identified weaknesses in Valkyrie technology. Their shields are strongest at the front, but weaker at these junction points. She pointed to sections near the engine pods. And their weapons, while powerful, have a recharge cycle of approximately 12 seconds between major firings. The room buzzed with renewed energy. "Can we exploit these weaknesses?" asked the British Prime Minister. "Possibly," Allison replied. "But we would need time to adapt our weapons, and—" The emergency sirens cut her off. All phones in the room buzzed simultaneously with an alert. On the main screen, a news broadcast showed Seattle. A green light similar to what had destroyed Phobos was cutting through the city center. Everyone watched in horror as the beam intensified. Buildings crumbled. In seconds, downtown Seattle was gone, leaving only a smoking crater. The screen switched to Supreme Harvester Tech's face. "Your species is attempting to develop countermeasures based on stolen Arcadian data," he said. "This is your only warning. Further violations will result in the destruction of additional population centers. 3 million humans have just paid for your defiance. How many more are you willing to sacrifice?" The transmission ended. The room was silent except for muffled sobs. "They're monitoring our communications," whispered Allison. "They know everything we're doing." The Secretary General stood slowly. "We need to vote. Do we surrender to the Valkyrie, or do we fight?" "Before you vote," said a voice from the back, "you should hear this." Lieutenant Ellis walked to the podium, still wearing her flight suit stained with blood and burn marks. "I watched Major Dunham die trying to talk peace with creatures who had already decided to destroy us. The Arcadians tried to warn us. The Valkyrie don't want our surrender. They want our planet. Whether we fight or not, they're going to kill most of us. The only question is whether we die on our knees or on our feet." She paused, looking at each leader in turn. "Major Dunham's last order to me was to report back. I've done that. Now I'm volunteering for whatever mission gives us the best chance to hurt these bastards before they wipe us out." A murmur of agreement spread through the room. The Secretary General nodded. "We need to move this operation underground, away from Valkyrie surveillance. General Carla Patterson, you will coordinate global military response. Dr. Meyer, work with our scientists to implement the Arcadian data. Everyone else, prepare your nations. As of this moment, Earth is at war." As they filed out, Allison caught up with Ellis. "I have an idea that might give us a fighting chance," she said quietly. "But it's dangerous, experimental technology." At this point, Ellis replied, "I'll try anything." Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, what had once been a missile silo was now the main command center for Earth's defense. General Carla Patterson stood before a wall of screens showing the status of forces worldwide. The news wasn't good. "We have less than 4 days until their deadline," she said to the room of military leaders. "Our conventional weapons are being modified according to the Arcadian specs, but progress is slow." The door opened, and Dr. Meyer entered with Lieutenant Ellis. "General," Allison said, "we need volunteers for Project Nexus." Patterson frowned. "The neural interface. The committee hasn't approved that yet. It's too risky." "We don't have time for committees," Ellis said. "The Valkyrie ships move too fast for our pilots to track manually. The interface might give us the edge we need." The neural interface was experimental technology designed to connect a pilot's brain directly to their aircraft. In theory, it would reduce reaction time from milliseconds to microseconds. In practice, most test subjects suffered seizures or brain damage. "I'm volunteering to be the first," Ellis added. Patterson looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Begin the procedure, but I want hourly updates. The surgery took 6 hours. When Ellis woke, she felt different, like the boundaries of her body had changed. How do you feel? Allison asked, monitoring her vital signs. Strange, Ellis replied, but ready. Over the next 3 days, 12 more pilots volunteered for the interface. 9 survived the procedure. As they trained in simulators, they discovered they could react with impossible speed, as if the aircraft were extensions of their bodies. Meanwhile, the deadline approached. The Valkyrie sent no more messages. They're moving their ships into position, reported the radar officer. Formation suggests they're preparing for a coordinated attack on major military installations. Patterson turned to Ellis, who now wore the silver neural connectors at her temples. Are your team ready? As ready as we'll ever be, Ellis replied. The attack began precisely at the deadline. Green beams sliced through Earth's atmosphere, targeting military bases across the globe. Nuclear silos, naval ports, air bases, the Valkyrie knew exactly where to strike. Ellis and her squadron launched from hidden runways, their aircraft modified with weapons based on Arcadian designs. As they climbed into the sky, Ellis felt the interface come alive, the jet becoming part of her. Remember the plan, she told her pilots. Hit and run. Target their junction points. Don't stay in their firing arc for more than 10 seconds. The first engagement was brutal. 3 of Ellis's pilots died in the initial exchange, but they managed to damage a Valkyrie scout ship before retreating to safety. From her command center, Patterson watched the global situation deteriorate. 60% of Earth's military capability was destroyed in the first day. Civilian casualties mounted as the Valkyrie began targeting power plants and water treatment facilities. We need to fall back, said the Air Force general. Regroup at the secondary bases. Patterson nodded grimly. Order all remaining forces to the underground facilities. We need to preserve what we have left. In the medical wing, Allison checked on Ellis, who had returned from her 3rd mission of the day. Her squadron was down to 4 pilots. The neural interface is holding, Allison said, reading the data, but your stress levels are dangerously high. Doesn't matter, Ellis replied, her eyes bloodshot. We're the only ones who've managed to damage their ships at all. We have to keep going. On the screens above them, red dots representing Earth's forces were disappearing one by one. Green dots showing Valkyrie ships moved methodically across the globe. We're losing, Ellis whispered. Allison squeezed her hand. Then we need something they won't expect. I've been analyzing your neural patterns during combat. There's something unusual happening when you're under extreme stress. What do you mean? I'm not sure yet, Allison replied. But I think the interface might be doing more than just connecting you to your aircraft. It might be unlocking something in your brain, something humans have never needed before. 3 weeks into the invasion, half of Earth's surface was in ruins. The Valkyrie methodically destroyed city after city, moving across continents like a deadly plague. The remaining human forces operated from hidden underground facilities, launching occasional strikes that barely slowed the alien advance. Lieutenant Ellis sat in her fighter, preparing for another mission. The neural interface hummed at her temples, connecting her mind to the aircraft. Her squadron, now nicknamed Wraith Team, was one of the few still operational. Wraith Leader, you are cleared for takeoff, came the control tower's voice. Ellis felt her fighter come alive around her as the engines ignited. Her remaining 3 pilots followed her into the sky. Valkyrie patrol detected in Sector 7, reported the control tower. 2 scout ships and a cruiser. Copy that, Ellis replied. Wraith Team, form up. Standard attack pattern. As they approached the target area, Ellis felt something strange, a tingling sensation at the base of her skull, spreading through the neural interface. Wraith 2, break right now, she shouted suddenly. Her wingman complied instantly. A second later, A green energy beam sliced through the space where his fighter had been. "How did you know?" asked Wraith 2, his voice shaky. Ellis didn't answer. She didn't understand it herself. She had somehow sensed the attack before it happened. The feeling came again. Without thinking, she banked her fighter hard left, then down, avoiding another beam by mere inches. "They're behind that cloud bank," she said, though the sensors showed nothing. "On my mark, all fighters target coordinates 42 to 7619. Her team fired simultaneously. Their modified weapons struck something invisible, and suddenly a Valkyrie scout ship appeared, its cloaking technology disrupted. "How did you see it?" asked Wraith 3. "I didn't," Ellis whispered. "I just knew." The battle continued for 18 minutes. When it ended, something unprecedented had occurred. All 3 Valkyrie ships were destroyed, and no human fighters were lost. Back at the base, Dr. Meyer examined Ellis carefully. The other pilots reported similar experiences. Allison said, "Studying neural scans, knowing where attacks would come from, sensing hidden ships. It's like you developed a sixth sense for combat." General Patterson joined them, her face showing rare hope. "Whatever it is, it worked. First clean victory since this war started. I think I understand what's happening," Allison said. "The neural interface was designed to speed up reaction time, but it's doing something more. It's activating dormant neural pathways." She pulled up historical records on her tablet. "I've been researching. Throughout human history, there are accounts of soldiers in desperate situations displaying almost supernatural awareness, sensing ambushes, avoiding bullets, knowing exactly where to strike. Most were dismissed as myths or exaggerations." "You're saying this is real?" Patterson asked skeptically. "I think humans evolved this ability as a survival mechanism, but it normally only activates under extreme stress. The neural interface is somehow enhancing it, making it accessible consciously." Ellis rubbed her temples. "Can we replicate it? Train more pilots?" "That's what I've been working on," Allison replied. "I've modified the interface program. We can begin new procedures immediately." Patterson nodded. "Do it." "And Ellis, I'm authorizing Operation Wrath." Operation Wrath was a desperate plan they had discussed, but deemed too risky until now. A direct attack on a Valkyrie command ship. "If this new ability gives us an edge, we need to use it," Patterson continued. "The command ship controls dozens of smaller vessels. Taking it out could disrupt their entire attack pattern." Ellis stood, determination in her eyes. "When do we leave?" "Tomorrow. I'm assigning all remaining neural interface pilots to your squadron." That night, Ellis couldn't sleep. She stood at a viewport, watching distant flashes of green light as the Valkyrie continued their destruction. "We're going to beat them," she whispered to herself. "Whatever this ability is, whatever humanity has awakened inside us, it's something they've never faced before." For the first time since the invasion began, she felt not just hope, but certainty. The Valkyrie had awakened something in humanity, something ancient and powerful, and it was hungry for vengeance. Dawn broke over the ruined landscape as Ellis led her expanded squadron toward the Valkyrie command ship. 12 fighters, each piloted by someone with the neural interface, flew in perfect formation. Their aircraft had been further modified based on what they had learned in previous battles. "Command ship in visual range," Ellis reported. "All pilots, prepare for combat." The Valkyrie vessel was massive, easily 20 times the size of their fighters. It hung in the sky like a metal mountain, surrounded by smaller patrol ships. "Remember the plan," Ellis said. "Draw out the escorts first. Don't engage the command ship until they're thinned out." The human fighters split into pairs, each targeting different patrol ships. As they engaged, Ellis felt the strange awareness grow stronger. She could almost see the energy building in the Valkyrie weapons before they fired, giving her precious seconds to evade. The other pilots reported similar experiences. They moved their aircraft with impossible precision, making turns and maneuvers that would normally tear the planes apart or render the pilots unconscious from G-forces. But the neural interfaces compensated, allowing them to push beyond normal human limits. 3 Valkyrie patrol ships exploded in quick succession. The remaining escorts broke formation, seemingly confused by the humans' unexpected effectiveness. "Something's happening," Ellis said, noticing the strange behavior. "They're losing coordination." Dr. Meyer's voice came through the comm from the command center. "The command ship acts as a central node for their network. When they lose ships unexpectedly, it creates disruption in their system. They're not used to casualties." General Patterson added, "This confirms our theory. Their ships are hierarchical. Take out a commander, and the subordinate vessels lose efficiency." Ellis smiled grimly. "Then let's go for the head. All fighters, form up on me. We're hitting the command ship now." They dove toward the massive vessel, weapons charged. The Valkyrie responded with a barrage of energy beams, but the human pilots weaved through them, anticipating each attack before it came. 2 human fighters were hit and destroyed, but the remaining 10 reached their target. They fired simultaneously at junction points identified from the Arcadian data. The command ship's shields flickered and failed in several sections. "We've got openings," Ellis shouted. "Secondary attack run. Now." As they swung around for another pass, Ellis felt something new through the interface, a sense of the Valkyrie ship's internal systems, as if she could see through its hull. Without fully understanding how, she directed her pilots to target specific points. "Hit here and here," she ordered, sending coordinates. "Those are power conduits." Their weapons struck true. Massive explosions rippled across the command ship's surface. It listed to one side, secondary systems failing. "It's working," someone shouted. Then Ellis noticed something alarming. The remaining patrol ships were retreating, but not in defeat. They were regrouping. "They're adapting," she warned. "Fall back to minimum safe distance." Her squadron pulled away just as the command ship emitted a pulse of energy. One fighter that didn't retreat fast enough went dark, its systems fried. "What just happened?" Patterson demanded over the comm. "Some kind of defensive surge," Ellis replied. "But look, the other Valkyrie ships are still disorganized." It was true. The patrol vessels moved erratically, some even colliding with each other without the command ship's coordination. Back at base, analysts confirmed what they were seeing. Throughout the combat zone, Valkyrie ships were operating at reduced efficiency. Some had stopped attacking altogether, reverting to defensive positions. "We've found their weakness," Patterson said, studying the reports. "Their strength is also their vulnerability. They're so connected that disrupting the command structure throws everything into chaos." Dr. Meyer nodded, but looked troubled. "They'll adapt. They're already calling for reinforcements." She showed them long-range scans that indicated more Valkyrie ships approaching from deep space. "Then we need to strike hard before they arrive," Patterson decided. "Ellis, we're authorizing Operation Thunderstrike." Ellis had heard rumors of this plan, a all-or-nothing assault on the Valkyrie flagship itself. "The flagship is in high orbit," Ellis said. "Our fighters can't reach it." "We've modified a shuttle that can," Patterson replied. "And we need pilots with your abilities." Dr. Meyer stepped forward. "I'm going to. I've undergone the interface procedure. I need to understand this phenomenon completely if we're going to replicate it on a larger scale." Ellis looked at the doctor in surprise, then nodded slowly. "When do we leave?" "Immediately," Patterson said, "before Supreme Harvester Check realizes what we've learned about their network." The modified shuttle climbed through Earth's atmosphere, carrying Ellis, Dr. Meyer, and 4 other neural interface pilots. Their mission was simple yet nearly impossible: board the Valkyrie flagship and capture Supreme Harvester Check alive. "Approaching orbital insertion," Ellis said, her hand steady on the controls. The neural interface felt like a natural part of her now, the shuttle responding to her thoughts as much as her actions. Dr. Meyer monitored their systems, Valkyrie patrols detected. 3 minutes until intercept. Ellis closed her eyes briefly, letting the enhanced awareness flow through her. I can sense them. They don't know we're here yet. The shuttle's stealth systems, upgraded with Arcadian technology, kept them hidden as they approached the massive Valkyrie flagship. It dwarfed all other alien vessels, a city-sized structure of metal and strange, glowing technology. There, Ellis pointed. That's our entry point. A small docking bay stood open, with Valkyrie scout ships moving in and out. Ellis guided their shuttle into the pattern, mimicking the aliens' approach vector precisely. They'd spotted us, one of the pilots warned. Too late, Ellis replied as she pushed the shuttle to full speed. We're going in. They crashed through the bay's energy field, skidding across the deck and smashing into parked scout ships. The team rushed out, wearing modified battle armor with neural interfaces connected directly to their weapon systems. This way, Ellis said, somehow knowing the correct path. The enhanced awareness was stronger here, inside the Valkyrie ship, as if proximity to the aliens amplified the effect. They fought their way through corridors, moving with uncanny coordination. Where Valkyrie troops appeared, the humans seemed to know seconds before, setting up perfect ambushes. It's not just combat reflexes, Meyer said between firefights. We're sensing their intentions, their thoughts. Eventually, they reached the central command deck. The doors were sealed, but Ellis placed her hands on the metal surface, eyes closed in concentration. Stand back, she ordered. She fired her weapon at a specific point, and the entire door system failed. Inside stood Supreme Harvester Czech, surrounded by guards. The alien commander was taller than the others, with elaborate markings on his gray-blue skin. Impossible, Kittick said, his multiple eyes widening. No prey species has ever reached a flagship. We're not prey, Ellis replied, raising her weapon. The guards fired, but the human team moved as if in a choreographed dance, avoiding every shot while returning perfect fire of their own. Within moments, only Kek remained. The Supreme Harvester backed away. You cannot defeat the Dominion. We have conquered hundreds of worlds. We are inevitable. Show me, Meyer said, stepping forward with a strange device. Show me these worlds you've destroyed. Before Kek could respond, she activated the device, a modified neural interface designed to connect with Valkyrie biology. Kizek froze as the connection formed. Through the shared neural network, Ellis and Meyer saw the truth. Dozens of civilizations exterminated, hundreds enslaved. The Valkyrie didn't just take resources, they fed on conquest itself. Enough, Ellis said, breaking the connection. She leveled her weapon at Kek. Wait, the alien said. I surrender. The Dominion will accept tribute instead of. Ellis fired, killing him instantly. No more worlds, she said quietly. Meyer moved to the command console. I can access their communication system. We can broadcast to their entire fleet. Show them their leader is dead, Ellis said. And send a message. The broadcast went out on the same frequency as the original Arcadian warning. On every Valkyrie ship, screens showed Ksek's body and displayed a simple message in the Valkyrie language. Leave or die. This is humanity's only warning. The effect was immediate. The Valkyrie fleet fell into chaos. Some ships immediately jumped to light speed, fleeing Earth. Others, confused by contradictory commands from distant superiors, continued fighting until destroyed by the increasingly coordinated human counterattacks. 1 month later, Earth's skies were clear of Valkyrie ships. The cost had been terrible. Billions dead, much of Earth's surface devastated. But humanity had survived. In what remained of the United Nations building, Dr. Meyer presented her findings to world leaders. The neural phenomenon has been documented in test subjects worldwide, she explained. It appears to be unique to humans, an ability to adapt rapidly under extreme pressure. The Valkyrie had never encountered a species with this trait before. Ellis, now Admiral Ellis, stood at the window, looking at the stars. "We're building ships," she said. "Better ships, using their technology and ours. There are other civilizations out there suffering under Valkyrie control. And beyond them, peaceful worlds we could befriend." She turned to face the room. "Humanity is going to the stars, not as conquerors, but as liberators." In orbit, the first of Earth's new vessels prepared for its maiden voyage. Its name, painted proudly on the hull, was simple: Humanity's Wrath.